Hello and welcome to a rather misty UK. It's great to be back home, but it's also great to see what you guys have been talking about, the feedback you've been giving us the past few weeks, the bikes you've been riding, the places you've been going to, and what's coming up on the channel in the next few weeks. Okay, got some great news for you guys. Now, back in January, we brought the first ride in the mud on the Pinion MGU with the Gates carbon drive. We followed that up with hot news from Riva del Garda Festival in May of Nicolai Saturn 16 MGU. Well, today, or rather a few days ago, I've got a bit of an update. Well, here we are, folks. The moment many of you have been waiting for. I certainly have. It's been a incredibly busy year in the world of e-mountain bikes with new motors, higher battery capacities, new brands coming onto the market. But in this box is something a little bit special. Well, it doesn't take much imagination to work out what's inside this box. This box has arrived from a village in the middle of nowhere in northern Germany. Nicolai Bikes started off by Carl Nicolai and two employed welders in 1995. I actually raced a Nicolai downhill bike in 97, 98, one of their first downhill bikes. So I have a lot of experience riding these bikes, but inside here, as I mentioned, is something a little bit special. Okay, so this box has got a wooden frame to it, which means you can ship the bike back should you need to, although I've got no intention whatsoever of sending this bike back to Nicolai, that's for sure. Okay, so top off. Boom. Now, Nicolai call this an elaborate bike box. I mean, look at who builds boxes with precision parts as part of the packaging? Apparently, I've got to save these bits. Thanks to AD for assisting me there. Get the outer, Thanks to AD for assisting me there to get the outer cardboard off. Now, this is the Saturn 16 with the MGU, 29-inch wheels, 160mm travel. Now, if anything was synonymous with Nicolai bikes, it's about authenticity, it's about gritty builds, which are handmade, precision, durability, like I said. Obviously, the main part of this bike, which you guys have been asking us to ride more and more on the channel, is the Pinion MGU, which I'll come on to in a minute. Start from the top, it's got all tie downs on it, which will come in very handy. AD's gonna give me a hand. So the Pinion MGU, which is at the heart of this bike, it's a motor gearbox unit. It's the E1.12, automatic shifting. Obviously, the great thing about a drive unit like this, it removes the need for a cassette or a derailleur. Many people, including myself, love the whole idea about low maintenance, indeed kind of zero maintenance with a system like this. Now, when I rode my previous Pinion MGU bike, one thing that struck me was just how great the feeling was when you're descending. It's totally silent. You can feel the tires ripping into the earth. So I'm really interested to get this particular bike up into the mountains and experience the shifting, the geometry, and everything to do with the bike, which really is very different from anything else on the market. Now, Vincent from Nicolai, thanks Vincent, he's equipped me with the Explorer build. I think the Explorer build will come in handy on the wet, dewy mornings up in Valmyra. But we're actually going to ride it in Explorer build, and then we're going to take the mudguards and the panniers off and ride it in the raw enduro version. Now, the guys at Nicolai have been super thorough as usual. This bike comes with a semi-integrated 960 watt-hour battery on the down tube. I've also got a spare 720 watt-hour battery as well. So you can imagine the potential for this bike in the mountains is massive. You could actually stick 720 watt-hour battery on the rack. You could literally ride across the Alps on this bike. Now, there's an idea. In the box Vincent sent me, he's got the charger. Got some, this says it all, doesn't it? He's actually put some different shock spring weights in there so I can get it just right. We've got some brake parts in here. We've got an SQ Labs grip set, and obviously, very importantly, a spare belt. Now, This bike is connected, all the power delivery from the drive unit to the back wheel is done by the Gates carbon drive. A few interesting features on here. The first one is the chain tensioner. Now, because the distance between the bottom bracket and the rear axle actually increases as the suspension compresses, that's why there's a need to have this tensioner in this area here. We've got a bash guard here as well, which protects the belt in really difficult, dirty conditions, which I'm sure we'll experience up in the mountains. Looks like Vincent's put some Continental tyres on there, and oh, he's even put the brake the right way around for me. Vincent, love you, I love you. And guys, tell me how many mountain bikes come in the box with a set of pedals on them. Not only that, with a really good set of pedals on them. Now, I'd like to say a big thank you to the guys at Nicolai and Gates Carbon Drive and Pinion for getting this project together, and especially to Vincent Stoy. He assured me that removing the panniers and the mudguards takes 1.5 beers. He's also reminded me with a little message there. So AD is getting on his first ever Pinion MGU bike. So let's record his feelings, and also you can probably get an idea for the sound of the motor on the system. So wait for this truck to go out, AD.
Yeah. Do I choose?
Just
flow?
No, going to fly.
Flex or fly?
You're gonna fly.
I'm liking the words.
Okay, after you, AD. Round the car park.
Let's give this a go. Whoa!
You can see AD's brain thinking, what the
I'm trying to get used to it.
Does he realise he's meant to be in range? I think he realised he's meant to be in range for the cameraman. Nico?
Can hear him.
Where has he gone?
I don't know. Oh. Cover shots.
You need to speak, AD.
It's so weird, sorry. It's so weird not seeing the mech move. It's quiet.
It's quiet, right?
It's great.
It's got a really reassuring noise to the gear change, isn't it?
Yeah, so smooth. Beautiful. It's so smooth. It's like having a Mercedes Auto.
A Mercedes what?
Auto.
I think AD's actually enjoying it.
It doesn't feel the weight either. It's nice.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
First impressions?
Yeah.
It's crisp, isn't it?
Do you know what?
It is so sharp, isn't it?
I wanted to not like this bike, but I'm actually quite looking forward.
So folks, AD is going to be standing in for me out in the mountains because I got a bit of an injury, so to speak. Great,
Yeah.
AD. I'm glad you're looking forward.
Do I have to have the mudguards though?
You do have to have the mudguards because
It's going to cost you
Yeah, but look, we're going to be riding this bike in Explorer trim, but we're also going to be returning back here to Finale. Also want to give a massive thanks to Finale Outdoor Region for hosting us the last few weeks. And yeah, we'll be returning here to take the mudguards off and give it a caning down the likes of Madonna della Guardia. Yes, guys, I'm sure many of you will be very happy to see that we've been riding the Pinion MGU on that Saturn 16 with the Gates carbon drive. We ventured out to northern Italy, and what a trip it was. There was snow, there was temperature inversions, there was sheep, there was goats, there was wild boar, incredible food, incredible trails. We rode the bike with the mudguards on. We also rode the bike with the mudguards off. We rode it against other bikes in some truly incredible mountains on some fantastic trails. So over the next few weeks, we'll actually be bringing you the story of that bike and also behind the scenes look in the future weeks at the comparison between some other bikes, and I can tell you the feedback from some other riders on that trip is super interesting. The Saturn 16 MGU with the mudguards, you know, it's an adventure trim. It's around about 27 kilos. The confidence a bike gives you in such conditions with the ability to hear the tires and no sound from a cassette or a drill is quite remarkable. And like I said, folks, all that's coming up on the channel in the next few weeks. Now, before we get carried away with the next part of the show, I want to announce some prize winners from the Ergon competition recently to win one of 3 overhaul kits that we had to give away. So our lucky winners are Lee Carey, Tapio Silvera, and Adrian Rogers. So they all win a saddle, grips, and gloves from Ergon. Okay guys, let's have a look where you've been over the past few weeks, and starting off with G-Man, who's actually been on the Taru D trail at Coed y Brenin. What a fantastic location that is for mountain biking, for e-mountain biking. You might have seen my colleague the Don ride the Amflow bike there several weeks ago, where he tackled some of the oldest trails, the oldest man-made trails in the UK on arguably some of the latest tech. But G-Man, nice to see you out on your white E180 RSX there. Now, somewhere a little bit further afield, this is in the Pyrenees, Specialized Kinevo SL. This is from Kojo. Kojo says somewhere in the Pyrenees, but having been there a few times on foot and on bike, I do think that that could be the Peak to Midi there in the background. What an incredible place that is. And then next up, over in Iowa, USA's beach at Sugar Bottom Rec area. That's from Mark. And then meanwhile, this is, oh, what fantastic timing. I haven't actually seen this picture. This is Valmyra. Now, actually, we did ride the Pinion MGU on the Saturn 16 Nicolai out in Valmyra a few weeks ago. So that's actually the location we'll be bringing you the Nicolai bike ride. This is the Plateau di Gardetta at 2,500 meters. And that's from Nick. Nick, thanks for sending that in so much. Great to relive some of those moments from a few weeks ago. As you can see, it's a little bit different here today, although we did have some particularly stormy weather out in northern Italy. Okay, folks, next I'm going to hand you over to Owen, who's got some news on some new Peaty's products.
Hi Steve, yeah, rim tape, I can explain all. So, you need this to set up your rims tubeless. We've done lots of videos, Steve, and you probably should have watched them, but leave it to Adam in the workshop and he can set them up. Why should you care about this new tape? Okay, well, premium adhesives, it's been designed from the ground up to be a much better, stronger tape, more durability. Right amount of flex, so opposed to just being really stiff and awkward, they've actually designed in a bit of flex so it helps wrap. Doesn't need the finishing strip anymore, and it's a really clean removal as well, unlike some of those other sticky tapes that leave a nasty residue on the rim. Lots of availability in terms of widths, and if you've used the old stuff and you weren't satisfied, PTs are open to you chatting to them and they'll send you some fresh tape. So yeah, Steve, you should worry about the other Steve's tape.
Now, as I mentioned, folks, it's really interesting to see some of the feedback that you guys have been giving us over the past few weeks, particularly whilst I've been away. One in particular drew my attention was when Rich did the video on the Shimano update, where he used the Canyon Spectralon as an example. This is a comment here from PMJ4, who says, yet another ad for Canyon, who obviously pay for these videos. At least be honest with your audience. I need to address this in some detail because for a number of reasons. I mean, first and foremost, Canyon are actually a partner on the channel, and having a partner such as Canyon and also White and all our other partners as well enables us to get to some incredible places to bring you adventure stories, how-tos, meet characters. You know, there's a lot of depth to the content we do on the channel, not just like the video Rich did here. The purpose of the video Rich did was actually it was more of a reactive video, because lots of you guys have been talking about the fact that we only feature 5-figure bikes on the channel. So I think this particular Canyon Spectralon at 3,900 euros, a bike which has got a 900 watt-hour battery, a full carbon frame, with a Shimano EP801 motor, and, you know, like I said, 900 watt-hour battery, it weighs 22 kilos. It's an incredible bike for that amount of money. But central to the story was the fact that the bike you actually buy off Canyon isn't the updated Shimano EP801 motor, what you have to do is actually buy that bike, take it to your Shimano dealer. You might have to pay a fee for updating it, but what you've actually got there is an incredibly up-to-date bike with a motor which, you know, has been winning World Cup races. So yeah, several things, like, you know, there's the price, there's the performance, there's the range, there's the motor. And I just wanted you guys to be aware of that video, that video, hence I got Rich to shoot that. We also, in the video, introduce you to many other bikes on there, in particular some of the Merida ones, but obviously bikes with Shimano motors. It was a bit of a tip to you guys to maybe, if you're in the market for something which is super up to date, then that could be a possible way to go. So I just wanted to clear that up with you guys. Next up, some feedback from you on the chat I had with Enrico Guala out in Finale a few weeks ago. Obviously Finale being the home to enduro racing. Now, I wonder if many of you agree with this comment from the Gamer, who says, power stages really suck to watch and it's not a type of riding I'm interested in as an e-bike owner. They should be used so the racers can get in more quality downhill stages in places that don't have chairlift access but awesome trails, and not be physically crushed by tight climbing transfer limits. Well, it's certainly an interesting one. I think from a personal perspective, I definitely like riding downhill stages, but I think the uphill challenge of e-mountain biking, the power stage, does give it another level of technicality and physicality which mountain biking might not have. Next up, what would the future of e-mountain bike racing look like for you? Troy Mortimer 3487 thinks, I would like to see an e-enduro racing on unmapped terrain. That is, ride to the top of an alpine summit, then race some pole marked downhill track. It would open up line choice and demonstrate what you can really do on an e-mountain bike. So there you go. I mean, Troy's got another downhill perspective on e-mountain biking. Like I said, guys, let us know what you think about the whole business of racing. I certainly know that some teams have been disappointed that there won't be any racing next year. I think it is a shame not to be able to see the likes of Flo Espinera and, you know, the Yeti team and the Shimano team, the Canyon guys. I mean, there's a really good community of athletes and brands who are really pushing the sport forward with new technology and new ways of using the motors. So I think it is a shame. And then Mick 1037 says, since you asked, feedback, e-bike racing coverage was always an afterthought. I was often disappointed and wanted more proper coverage of the different stages. I definitely agree with that. Please learn from Formula E. Embrace your difference and tech in the e-bike world. Use drones for camera coverage. Have information available to the audience, like how much battery the racers have left at different stages, the motors they're on with their rankings. Bring the eMTB to America. Bring it to the US and Canada. If you haven't already, have the races and demo days together so people can get hooked. Well, Mick, I think that is a fantastic comment to leave the whole business of e-bike racing on. Like Enrico alluded to, I think it's very much a pause rather than a full stop to e-bike racing. I certainly would like to see the series get started up again, even though having done one, the pain and physicality of a race like that is on another level. But maybe I'll leave that to some other riders like some Ryan Gilchrist and Flo Espinera. Now, on the topic of feedback and asking questions, we're going to put the power back in your hands. So if you're curious, you guys often ask about brands, their plans and changes on bikes or products. So we're going to ask them on your behalf. So there's lots of questions came about from the video which Rich did on the Canyon Spectral with the Shimano EP801 motor. So if you've got any burning questions for brands, if you use hashtag #AskEMBN in the comments, and we'll endeavour to get answers for you on those subjects. So it goes without saying, keep things respectful and we'll do the rest. As answers might take a little while, we'll pick a few and include them in the shows when we've had a response from those individual brands. So if that sounds good, please get involved in the comments. Okay, folks, it's bike vault time. Starting off with Melon Ulaturk in Mallorca, a true e-mountain bike paradise. I ride my Trek Fuel EXE along the trails of the Sierra de Tramuntana in Mallorca. Well, I have to say, Melon, that is a fantastic bike. What a great motor that is, the TQ motor on the bike. So I'm going to give that a super nice. Next up, Canyon Spectral CFR Limited. Whoa, what a banger. Ride and explore around Luxembourg and test the capacity of my Canyon Spectral. Okay, Ruben, have you got is that a 720 or have you got a 900 watt hour in there? I'm guessing if it's a CFR Limited, it's going to be a 900 watt hour, right? But look at the colors there. I can only say that is a super nice. Keith Atkinson. This was my first ride on my white E160 RSX on my local trails in the woodland not far from my home way in Medway, Kent. Wow, that's a super nice again, I've got to say. I mean, one of my favourite bikes. We've got a video coming up soon actually on the white E160 on some very technical trails in Italy. And then my new Mondrian Crafty XR in bronze and black from Chris. Well, folks, I think that's going to be 4 super nices on it. Thanks for sending in your bikes. I will try to get more bikes on the channel in the next few weeks. Now I'm back in the land of mist, so keep an eye on the bike vaults to see if your bikes get featured. And to wrap things up, guys, looking at some social clips, we spent some time strolling, and this is what caught our eye this week. Wow, look at this here. Is this a trail that you would like to ride? Wow, that's pretty spectacular, I have to say. And then next up, E-Mountain Cross. We did E-Mountain Cross on the channel a few years ago, but I think this one could definitely take off. And finally, yeah, you got it. Absolutely style for miles. That's it for this week's EMBN show from a rather misty UK. Coming up on the channel in the next few days, some very interesting videos. First of all, the Don will be talking about removable versus non-removable batteries on your e-mountain bikes. It's a massive subject, and I think we're all different in the needs when it comes to removable or non-removable batteries. I think there has been a trend by brands in the past 12 months to have batteries which are non-removable. It's not anything new. It was the Rocky Mountain back 8 years ago with the Powerplay had a non-removable battery. But it does seem to have become more popular, especially with the advent of the kind of lower power bikes with 400 watt hour batteries. But we're now seeing it with 600 and larger watt-hour batteries in the down tube. So please watch that video. It's a really important one if you're thinking about buying an e-mountain bike or indeed buying a new e-mountain bike. And then coming up on the channel on Sunday, yes, finally, we've got a video on the Nicolai Saturn 16 MGU with the Gates carbon drive and of course the Pinion MGU. Please join us on the channel for 2 very interesting videos. See you next week.